Hello, everyone. Apologize for the previous podcast. It seems my voice was not very clear, but I hope this one works fine. So let's right dive into the GTP 5 model that has been in fact launched yesterday actually, and we have seen that there has been already results from a lot of people who have been using GTP5, and the general consensus is that either the model GTP5 is marginally better than what the 4.5 previously was, or in certain cases it is even much inferior than the previous 4.5 model. And it's roughly the same story with other like latest model from the Grok and other players. So the question to be asked is, have we reached a ceiling or a plateau whereby no matter how much money, time, resources that you invest in these models, you will not be able to improve their accuracy or improve their core functionality any much longer? And the reason for stating that is that uh, Sam Altman earlier in the year was touting GTP5 as the AGI, and anyone who understands a little bit about machine learning and AGI in particular knows for a fact that it is uh, poles apart from AGI. It's not even just nearby that. It's like completely orthogonal to AGI, right? You can check out my other podcast about artificial general intelligence. I'm not going to discuss that in this podcast, but the fact of the matter remains that essentially the time, energy, and resources that we are spending in building these foundational models is not equivalent to the ROI that we are receiving from them. So if I were to draw it in a graph, I'll put a like a on the x-axis I'll put like resources like time, compute, and other resources that we're spending and dollars that we're spending on these models, and the y-axis is going to be, let's say, the ROI or the accuracy of these models. So earlier, like when the GTP1 came, it was like path breaking. When GTP1 to GTP2 went, it was like awesome, explosive. 2 to 3 was impressive, and 3 to 4 was okay, not very great, and from 4 to 4.5 was again similar to that, and now from 4.5 to 5 that we have reached is not that great either. It's like kind of, so it is following the same path of like iPhone, right? Initially when iPhone came, they were revolutionary thing, and people used to line up for next version of iPhone. But if you see iPhones recently, it's just a kind of a fad. It doesn't give you any additional functionality. So that's the kind of a thing that no matter how much investment now you do or how much time you spend, the kind of model that you're going to get, it is not going to be revolutionary or very path breaking as it used to be earlier. So I think you will also see models from Gemini and Grok and other companies. I don't think they will be much different either. Pretty much all of them suffer from the same problem, and the problem is that all these major foundational models have been trained on the internet data that is already available. In fact, now there is no data left on which the training can be done. So what these models have adopted is they're generating their own synthetic training data and trying to train the models on top of that. You can understand the kind of problem with this approach. It's like a vicious cycle. So you vomit out something which is fake, then you basically train on the same vomit, and then expectation is that it will mimic the real world or it is there to solve your problem. As it is, the real world data that has been trained, it is not reducing hallucinations. Now you're training your models on synthetic data that the same model itself has generated. Now you're training it on the back on the same data itself. It's just a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I mean, it is not going to improve the output that these models can generate, and that's the roadblock we have all hit. So this should clearly tell you that there is no AGI that is going to happen with the same paradigm, the work that has been done. I think GTP by itself, transformers are a great tool. I think they have lived their life. They're very useful. People are already using that. That itself is a great leap. But I think the leap, so maybe we have reached from 1 to 100, but from 100 to 1000, will require completely different set of skills. So if we assume AGI is the 1,000 point, then same GPT architecture I don't think is going to help us lead there. GTP is very strong. It has very many use cases. A lot of people are using it. I use it pretty much very often on the healthcare use case, because I'm getting a lot of images and reports and for the healthcare data because of the cancer treatment and the infections that we have in the family that we are getting. So I'm heavily leveraging all the data, all the images that we're getting from there to get answers. And believe me, it has become my aid, because it helps me basically discuss with oncologists and doctors regarding the case. Because whether it is Grok, or I recently switched back to OpenAI, and I found that the kind of diagnostics it generates is actually very top notch. I mean, I am not a person from a medical field, so of course I should not be the one talking about the quality. But as a layman who is using these LLMs to try to do a diagnostics or try to figure out what's going on with her case, I think the kind of information that I get from in fact, I'll tell you, like recently, with the symptoms and the MRI that I had for my wife, I uploaded that on chat GPT, also on the Grok also I did that. But again, on OpenAI, I got very good basically summarization of what is going on. It also gave me the diagnostics as to what is possible, and it also gave me recommendations what you should be asking the doctor, what other kind of things that can be done on the cancer side, on the spine side, or on the medication side, on the physiotherapy side. So I would say it was like very, very phenomenal. In fact, the kind of doctors that we interact on a daily basis, and what ChatGPT is already able to do, there is like a very big difference. The clarity is there, a lot of information is there. In fact, it equips me to talk to doctors further once I go through that, right? Again, I'm saying take this with a pinch of salt, because I am not a medical professional, but it is helping me basically talk with the doctors. In fact, some of the medications that the OpenAI suggested is exactly what my wife got when we took her to the hospital 2 weeks ago, actually. So from that perspective, I'm blown away. And why not, right? In medical terms also, you have very standard set of procedures. You basically check certain reports, you check the body vitals. Basis on that, you basically have a diagnostics, and then you basically prepare a possible solution as to what are the medicines, what are the kind of things that need to be done. I think the major difference that I would like to point out here is it's not only just the data, that's the diagnostics, but you have to also understand the patient clinically, right? That's where the human angle comes into the picture. I don't think AI can do any clinical judgment. Well, clinical judgment is physically you talk to the patient, you see the patient, you feel the patient, see their body language, see their cues. Are they in stress, are they happy, how they're talking? And basis on that, plus the data, the testing data, you basically make suggestions, or even you override the training that you have as a doctor. So I think that's where the doctor basically comes into the picture. But if the doctor is not using clinical symptoms, or they're not diagnosing the patient that is in front of them, and they're solely relying on the reports, then I think generative AI is doing a better job than the doctor as we speak now. We are not waiting for the AGI. Even with the existing models, we have actually reached that stage. I am seeing it on a daily basis right now. Of course, the way you give the prompt, what kind of reporting, how you upload that reporting and all, there's still kind of errors, because sometimes it is not able to read the PDF file, or the image extraction it is not able to do properly. I saw those kind of problems in Grok, but on OpenAI I was experiencing problems that some PDF files it was reading, some it was not. So technical errors were coming, but not in the interpretation and things like that. So that part was very good. Let me read a comment. Mayank Patni: should we learn data engineering or AI/ML, which has more jobs and better future? Sir, data engineering, I think, is the first step actually. So unless you know data engineering, it'll be very hard for you to excel in machine learning actually. So I would say data engineering is a precursor to machine learning. If you pure play just learn machine learning as such, I think at some point of time you will get stuck, because you will be required to store data, manipulate data, extract data and things along those lines. So I think they are interrelated. I would suggest that anyway, if you're learning, then learn both. Start with data engineering, but if you come from a statistical background or classical machine learning background, then you can solely focus on machine learning. But I would suggest nowadays they expect you to do your own data engineering as well as machine learning. Actually, I have a specific podcast where I talk about fundamental data science, applied data science, etc. So you can refer to that for further details. But the fact of the matter is that we have reached a stage where the hype bubble is popping out. There was a lot of hype in the past 2 years around AI and AGI and things like that. I think it is now abundantly clear that we are nowhere near to AGI. AGI is not going to happen. Existing GPT models have hallucinations. They don't have enough guardrails, and that will always restrict them to be what it could have been. So to reach to AGI, we need a completely fundamental different paradigm shift that needs to happen. That will lead us to AGI, if at all. I'm not even claiming that we can ever the true meaning of AGI we can ever even achieve from machine learning or LLMs or any other thing that doesn't even exist right now. Maybe one day, if quantum computing becomes possible for general purpose tasks that we do daily basis, maybe then, but I doubt even then AGI will be possible. So that's all I had for today. I wanted to make sure that everyone understands that GTP 5 has not been as well received as people were hoping. There was a lot of hype around it, but it has kind of under delivered. Even the general consensus is kind of mixed. Even the people who are happy, they all think it's just marginally better than previous. But other side of the people are even saying it is even worse than 4.5 GPT that already was. So, and again, I'm not saying in terms of functionality, I'm talking in terms of the fundamental reasoning ability of the model, like the core model. They definitely have much more features with respect to 3D printing, I mean, to say 3D graphs and connectivity, API, MCQs, and whatnot. So, there are a lot of bells and whistles, but the core model by itself is not uniquely better than what already 4.5 was able to achieve. I think this problem will come across all, whether it is Gemini, Grok, or any other cloud models and things like that. So we will have to learn to live with this, and slowly and surely, I think within this year itself, the complete hype around AI, especially AGI and all, will drop, and that can lead to further rounds of layoffs because a lot of investment has been made, and as you can see, Meta is building their super intelligence team, etc., where they're offering 100 million, 200 million, packages to AI researchers. So I think maybe that mad race will also start diminishing once people start seeing beyond the hype. So don't get me wrong, generative AI is still very excellent thing. It has been used on a daily basis. I am using it myself, as I talked about the healthcare use case, but I've used in other use cases as well, like for summarizing or analyzing some research reports and things like that. So it's, and even in search we are using that. So it definitely is very beneficial, but you should definitely know when to use it, when not to use it. And again, I have made podcast on pitfalls of AI and the benefits of generative AI, and how even with current state it is going to disrupt jobs, which it is already doing. Let me read the next question from Mayank Patni. Web development versus data engineering versus AI, which is better and has better future in 2027? So many AI jobs openings and there is shortage of AI ML developers. So you are right, Mayank, there is shortage, and as I said, AI is not an easy field. The kind of people that Meta and other people are hiring in the AI are the ones who are basically core fundamental model developers. So they are going to do fundamental research, which will require a lot of mathematics, statistics, understanding of physics, even for building those models. So if you have that kind of inclination and bent of mind, you can possibly do like a MS or a PhD and go to like linear algebra, calculus, differential calculus. If you can really go inside, deep inside those areas, and you like physics and quantum physics and things along those lines, and definitely you should go for yeah, ALLM model development and things like that. But then um, data engineering is pure play data engineering, extract, transformation, loading, building data warehouses, cleansing the data, transforming the data, etc. So uh, in by 2027 it will be very difficult to tell exactly where we will see the growth in the job, but at least this year in 2025 it seems the more jobs are there in the field of AI that we are basically seeing. Next question from Harsh Dubey. It says, "What would be the future of Indian technology in 2030?" Sir, it's kind of little bit hard to kind of decide what the future might entail. But what I can say is India doesn't seem to be investing very heavily in AI, and as a result, the future is kind of like, I would say, mixed. It's not very well kind of defined at this point of time. So from that perspective, I think you know people will have to do a lot of work themselves, and they will have to kind of worry about like if they really want to excel in AI field, or India has to make its name in the AI arena, then I think a lot of innovation and a lot of investment has to be made, and I think a lot of startups etc. will have to do that. I doubt right now all the investment that is happening in India is happening in that direction, because mostly Indians are focused on the applications of AI rather than building the fundamental key building blocks of AI. I think that would be the shortcoming. So I highly doubt that even by 2030, India will be anywhere there in the map. And but that is not true for US, or neither it is true for even I would say China. So I have much more hopes of China being a really great superpower in advanced technologies like AI. But I doubt that India will be able to actually achieve that kind of growth by 2030. So yeah, that's from my side. Um, Let me read next question. Mayank Patni, in 2025, is it safe to do BTech in computer science, or something should focus on other streams like finance, MBA, commerce? Uh, See, safe and unsafe. See, it's very hard for even me to like say that, right? I did computer science earlier, but again, those times were different. Now the times have changed, right? So I still think that computer science is still pretty good. I mean, if you understand the core operating system concepts and data structures, how to build algorithms and all that are part of computer science, those things will help you think, build systems and architectures. So I think it will still be necessary, but the days of like average, below average engineers, IT coolies as I call them, wherein companies such as TCS, Infosys, Wipro, or the which companies do mass hiring, I think those days are numbered. I mean, if you go in just for the sake that I'll just go to any no-name college, just pass the buck there, and I'll be recruited somewhere, I think that days are gone, long gone, and they are not going to return. So unless you are really passionate about computer science and you fundamentally understand the core computer building blocks, as I said, operating system, computer networking, discrete mathematics, data structures, algorithms, then I think uh, unless you do those things, you don't have a very good future. But if you are like intelligent and you can really use those concepts to build new systems, then even computer science will be good. But it will not be same as earlier years actually. I don't think commerce and MBA and all will be worthy pursuits. I don't think so. They were earlier, they were okay, but I don't think with the current advancement you would need so many people. Those skill sets will basically get completely punished over the years. Saint of power, how bro? Hi bro, how come dumb non-tech girls become program manager in MNC? I observed they just do formality. Yeah, I mean, that is true. I have also seen that. And it's not only the girls who do that, even I've seen boys also doing that. Some program managers are very good. I've even seen that. We used to call them as technical program managers. I mean, I saw them quite a bit at Amazon. In fact, some of them were so good they will even do the architecture by themselves, and they will do road blocking, etc. Earlier there was just tons of bureaucracy in companies, and to manage that bureaucracy, inter-team communication, sprints, they also used to call them as scrum masters and all. You needed such kind of people in bulk. But as companies lean towards like efficiency, a lot of the FANG companies are removing the middle management layer. Some companies are completely eliminated project managers and product managers also, whereas product managers are different from program managers. But that kind of change is happening, not even for them, even they're removing like engineering managers or directors and VP of engineering as well. So a lot of transformation is happening. It is not limited to just program management, but product management, engineering management, a lot of middle management layers are going actually. Harsh Dubey, I am working professional in BPO. Which course should I pursue to get a good pay in this market? Sir, if you are in BPO, I will think if you have seen robot process automation, there are companies like UiPath and I think Analytics Anywhere or um, Analytics Everywhere. I forgot the name. What was the other name of the company? So UiPath, I definitely know does that. RPA and Automation Anywhere. I think that's the name of the company. You should check it out. Just search it on Google. What are the RPA companies? I think if you can understand the processes of the BPO and apply robot process automation and pick that up, I think that would be easier transition for you, and you can probably leverage your BPO experience as well. I think that's something you should focus on. Try it out. Mayank Patni. In China, there is also huge youth unemployment and there is also saturation in the industry in China. You are right. I mean, China itself is going through its own problems right now, and their unemployment is for the high skilled labors. They are having a huge unemployment right now because of the sanctions that US has made and overall macroeconomic conditions that are basically prevailing these days. So those have caused a lot of stress on the Chinese market as well. So you are right. But even with all that, China's economy is already around 18 to 19 trillion dollars. So for them, it is different story than India, which is again in a much worse situation because economy is still around like 4.5 trillion, and we have low skilled people in India, and IT industry, which was the backbone of urban employment in India, is getting hit right now, and we don't know in the next coming months and even in 2026, uh, will there be more layoffs and more jobs that are going to be slashed in India that are going to cause a lot of problem. Mayank Patni, sir, are you saying that learning AI ML data engineering is better than learning finance MBA? Exactly, that's my point. Harsh Dubey, what do you think when the IT market will be better for freshers? I mean, it is a little bit hard to say when the IT market will boom back again, but right now we are in a very transformative phase. So one angle is your AI being pushed to remove a lot of entry level jobs and lot of low cognitive load jobs, and automation is going on. Then on the other hand, you have a lot of macroeconomic changes that are happening, which has made a lot of companies to think about reassess their IT strategy and their investment. And Trump is not helping either, right? He keeps doing one thing or the other. Like for instance, I wanted to make another podcast on the 50% tariff that US has levied on India. What are going to be the repercussions of that and things along those lines. So you can't trust Trump because he can keep doing some random things and it can impact the entire world market, right? So it is a little bit hard to say when the uptake in the fresher hiring will begin, but maybe next year. I mean, it's just a maybe because things are just rapidly changing. So, I mean, if it doesn't show up by next year, one thing is for sure: the enrollment in computer science and IT programs will basically go down the drains completely, because already for the last 2 to 3 years now, the hiring of freshers, overall IT industry is on a downtrend, if you see. So we don't know how long this is going to last. Saint of power, as AI is so fast growing that engineering will be over by 2040. So, what career advice you will advise your son? Yeah, my sons are like very, very young right now. One is like 6 and the other one is 1. I think by that time, maybe, quantum, computing, nanotechnology, bioengineering, maybe environmental engineering, clean tech will become big deal, and they should basically focus on, one is like art and culture, and second is basically fundamental like sciences like chemistry, biology, physics, maths. I think highly encourage my kids, if they have that kind of bent of mind, to pursue like fundamental key sciences, because those will be required to build the technology of the future. And it goes without saying that like programming and AI, everyone will be using anyway, right? So that will be like just the language of being able to communicate with computers and mobile phones, etc. So I'll encourage my kids, but if they don't have brains or they don't have inclination, then they will decide their own career path. But that would be something that I'll encourage my kids to try it out at least once. uh, Mayank Patni, Python versus Java versus JavaScript versus Rust versus Go, which is best in terms of job openings? Uh, I think Python hands down wins the race, because pretty much with all the hype in the AI and the kind of data work that people are doing, Python kind of wins the race there. So I think Python is very pervasive from that perspective. Java is pretty seasoned, because a lot of the legacy applications are built in Java. But if you are in the web development space, heavy web focus, then even JavaScript is also pretty actually good, I would say. And a lot of people nowadays use Node or similar kind of frameworks as well. Harsh Dubey, can AI bring the profits to the organizations? I mean, that's what all the AI organizations are claiming. But there is a fundamental difference. So one is an organization that is building AI, and the other organizations are the ones using AI. Right now, the stage where we are at, both these kind of organizations are not making money. So companies that are building AI are like like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, etc. Right, Grok and all. These are the ones that are building AI models. None of them are profitable as of this point. All of them are loss making. OpenAI is the biggest amongst them, because it has the maximum number of users, almost over like few hundred million that are using Chat GPT, right? But even then, they are not profitable. They are making losses. And then there are companies who can use AI for different use cases and all. So even Google, Amazon, Microsoft are internally using their own AI as well. But even none of the products where AI is being used, I'm talking specifically about generative AI, they are not lucrative at this point of time, especially if you talk about Cloud Code or Copilot and things like that. But if you think about other applications like transcription, etc., so if you have narrow applications of AI where you don't even need generative AI, those have been successful and even profitable to larger degree. But on the generative AI front, as of now, we don't have a lot of use cases and examples. So hope is in future generative AI is one going to cut down the operational cost of companies and add new revenue streams. But for now, we haven't seen that happen in the past 2.5 years. So maybe by end of this year, we will get to a conclusion whether the investment will continue to happen as it was in the past years, or the investments will stop. Mayank Patni, why so many people find hard to get data analytics job? Because it is easy. I mean, yeah, data analytics is easy, but it is only easy for those who understand mathematics and have analytical bent of mind. For others, if you can't see patterns, if you can't build dashboards, if you're not good with numbers and crunching numbers, then it can be very daunting actually, Nowadays you don't need persons who can just build a dashboard, but you need to solve business problems. So you can't just say that, I can show you sales numbers or I can do pie charts. That is technical. Great, you can do that. But you have to solve a business problem. That is the key skill, right? So the word for that is decision scientist. So the company no longer just need a data scientist because even their job is going to be eaten away by AI. They need decision scientists. So decision scientist is a person who will use any tools available, whether it is Python or data engineering, Spark, Scala, whatever it takes, right? Or generative AI to like quickly build something up. But they should be able to tell the root cause of why business is not growing, or what new lines of product they should be doing, or how to curtail the customer churn and things like that. So if you are a data scientist or a decision scientist who can get into the core business and solve for that, leveraging whatever tool that exists, those are the kind of people that companies require. Not many people who can just put a like a pie chart and histograms and graphs and let the business decide ki what are the outcomes that we are going to get from that. So days of just plain vanilla data sciences or pure play like dashboarding are over. You have to get business value. That is what basically counts. Harsh Dubey, what will happen after AI burst? Does traditional IT sector would grow or hire people? I mean, in the past, whenever like a key marketing, sensation goes down, then the uh, you know fundamental, technology areas seem to rise because the resources that were being spent on a particular area, in this case AI, will get redistributed to other areas of the tech. But this time around, right, um, I doubt that would happen because uh, AI has already reached a stage whereby it does improve productivity if you know how to use it. And at least the FANG companies or the larger organizations, through their own automation agents and co-pilots and whatnot, have at least, if not more, improved their productivity by 10 to 20%. I'm not claiming like 90%, 50% or whatever, but that part has happened. And I am also hopeful that in the next few months, right, the low cognitive workloads will be fully automated by various mixture of AI and generative AI kind of technologies. So from that perspective, I believe that even if the AI bubble bursts, we will see still more layoffs. Maybe there might be some little bit uptake in the regular hiring of rest of the fields, but overall, I still see a downward trend in overall hiring. Uh, Mayank Patni, should we learn mathematics and computing, which help to make models and AI model, or it is very hard and very numerical? Yes, that is what I was saying. If you really want to get into fundamental model building, and that's what you have to learn, and it's pretty hard. That is why most of the machine learning engineers, etc., are applied engineers. They are not foundational or fundamental machine learning engineers. Saint of power. Many people are still getting in MBA, taking 15 lakh loans. Are they making a mistake? I think they're making a very grave mistake. In fact, even many people, I said multiple times from the past 2.5 years, that this is not the right time to go to the US for doing masters. In fact, many people still are going to US and they are getting stuck there with visa issues and not being able to sponsor their H1. And even in India, I don't think MBA is the right choice. Uh, Earlier, it was probably okay. Now it's not the right choice actually, unless you go to some like IIM Ahmedabad or those kind of places, then probably it is okay. But even there, you have to be like in the top of the rung. Only then you can get into those consulting firms or investment banks. But if you're average or below average, then even there the placements are no longer 100% now in any campus actually. A2K code, sir. What about diving into the area of Web3 as crypto adoption is growing? Yeah, I personally have not much interest in any Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies and things like that. Um, it's very volatile market. I think a lot of people entered in it. It is, you are right, it is growing, and it is at all time high right now. But as I said, there is a lot of volatility. Lot of time it has come down, like crashing like 90% as well. So I'm not sure about the long-term leverage of cryptocurrencies. They will always remain. I think companies are going to be there that work upon that, but it will remain its own niche. I don't think it will become very mainstream as such. But yeah, it will always remain like a kind of a niche and specialized area. Saint of Power, MBA guys and non-tech program managers. Yeah, I don't think so. Non-tech program managers, MBAs will have a lot of scope in the future. Mayank Patni, why so many computer science graduates do MBA after a few years? That used to be the story like a couple of years ago, because many people who did not get like the core computer science fundamentals thought it would be better if they basically have an MBA, because then they can transition into product management or consulting and things like that. So it used to be a great kind of career trajectory, do an BTech and then do an MBA. But people who are technical, who understand computer science and all, BTech people make more money than MBA. That has always been true. If you are good in your game, actually. And even MBAs used to do great when investment banking used to pay quite a bit of money, and strategy consulting used to pay quite a bit of money. Nowadays, neither the investment banking gives you, even the investment banking, hedge funds, etc. They are also or algorithmic or high frequency trading based. So they also want to hire engineers rather than MBA actually. So that's all from my side. I hope today's discussion was interesting, and it's a Friday night, so I'll also get my sleep. I'm going to try to lie down. It's already 10:03 p.m. here in Delhi. So let me take few more questions that are there. A2K course. I am a data analyst, but trying to learn Web 2, HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and then get into Web 3 as a smart contract developer. I see firms hiring remote from anywhere in the world. Great. Yeah, if you can crack that, please go for that. Saint of Power. I want your view on, as only 10% max humans will be proficient in adapting to change, then how will 90% survive? That's a good question. In fact, I think in one of the podcasts I have talked about universal basic income, actually concept of that. You can check it out. But the whole idea is that as the human being sees this major shift, in one way you see Indian government is already providing like uh, a ration to 80 crore people, right? Free like um, wheat and rice and whatnot. And then many of the state governments also in India are offering like free electricity or bus rides to the females and things along those lines, right? um, the governments will have to like build a like a ecosystem whereby not like 50 crore or 80 crore people, but pretty much like 100 crore or plus people, like maybe 120 crore or 130 crore people have to be given sustaining basically income, wherein they can rent a home, eat food, it covers their medical expenses, educational expenses, etc. uh, I doubt if Indian government will be able to do that because we are a poor nation. But I think Western countries like US and Europe will lead the way. They have the money and the resources, so they will be the first ones to do that. And I think it has to be followed throughout the world. Otherwise, there will be civil unrest actually when this happens. Saint of Power, good night. Thanks. Good night to you. Harsh Dubey, what's your opinion on the current recession with 2008 recession? Yeah, I think current is very different from 2008. At that time, we knew that there was a financial meltdown, and subprime loan crisis was there when a lot of toxic loans were offered and people could not repay that loans. It impacted a lot of banks, and the U.S. government had to like back the banks and bail them out, and due to which a lot of jobs were lost. Not so many in the tech, but mostly in the finance, banking, real estate sector. But then even tech was impacted, but not as much. Tech was much bigger impact was in 2001 bubble burst actually. Right now, what we are seeing is very unprecedented. We have never seen such kind of a, because nobody is claiming there is a recession, but still jobs are being lost, and still major companies which are FANG are posting double digit revenue growth and profits. So all of these things are going hand in hand, and everybody's trying to optimize, cut costs while growing profits, right? So this is a major difference between the earlier recessions and what we are seeing right now. Mayank Patni, one YouTuber, claims that after 2 years there are so many AI/ML jobs opening in the world that there is shortage. So learning AI/ML is it true? I don't think you will have lot many AI/ML jobs also. Right now we have so many because there is a lot of hype and people are quickly trying to scramble and bring this to work. Think about it, right? When AI can automate a lot of things, can't it not automate even data engineering and ML? It can. So as they can fire software engineers, they can even fire data engineers and data scientists as well. So it depends upon if the use case is very narrow, very well understood, then that can be automated and you would not need even ML or AI engineers also there. So that's what I think. Uh, One YouTuber claims that web development is saturated. Start learning AI, ML, data engineering, computer vision. Is it true? So this is only true for now. I don't think this is true for future actually. Future meaning like maybe now, maybe within 2025, 2026, you would see an uptake in AI and ML because it has become very hype and a lot of companies are investing in that area, etc. But as the hype tapers down, so will the number of openings and requirement for that kind of talent. So I think that's all from my side. I hope I have answered a lot of questions, and it's already 10:08 right now. Um, Please like, share, and subscribe. If there is any other topic, let me know. I'll cover that topic. And make sure you take good care of your health, get good sleep, and eat healthy. Spend time with your friends and family. Uh, Harsh Dubey has asked a question: which country you prefer living, USA or India? Sir, I have made quite a bit of podcast also on these US versus India differences. So you can basically look at those podcasts as well. But I think the answer to this is very nuanced actually. So there are certain aspects that I like about the US and then I don't like them. And then there are certain aspects about India that I like and don't. At a very summarized level, since you have asked, I'll not let you hanging there. So in the US, I like the traffic. Generally, it is very orderly. I like the cleanliness in the US. I like the environment. The weather is generally on the cooler side. I like cool weather much better than the hot weather. And then, in general, infrastructure in the US works. Environment is green, lakes are good, you can swim, and all those things. So I really like that thing there. The thing that I don't like, or what troublesome for me was, one is cost of living is super high. Then it is very hard to find a like a house help maid, etc. It is very easy to do that here in India. Then, of course, cost of living as compared to the US is very, very like one third for me here in India. So definitely, right now, it is like a God gift for me. But then the pollution level, the heat here in India, in general, is not ideal for me. But then again, we have extended family here, so I have a lot of support from family, whether it is from my side, family side, or from my wife's side. So that's actually good. But then in the US, we were completely by our own, so that was a kind of a drawback. But then, if you like products, then US is cheaper actually. So any car, any latest gadget of like say Apple iPhone or tablet or whatever is extremely cheap in the US, whereas here in India those things are like expensive. But if I talk about like services and all, then services are cheaper here in India, and US either they're unaffordable or non-existent actually. So it's a kind of a mixed bag. So basis upon your lifestyle, your life stage, you have to make a decision what is good for you at that point of time. So for us, India was becoming better decision given the healthcare crisis that we are going through. So that is why we chose to come back to India. Mayank Patni, in 2025 only IT sector is impacted or other sectors also impacted like finance, banks. So in the US, even financial sector is impacted. There were a lot of bank runs. I have made certain podcasts on that as well. Um, India is in a very unique situation. There are growing NPAs in a lot of banks in India as well. Uh, IT companies up until last year were not as majorly impacted. This year, I think they have getting more impact, but that's where it is. I think India would still be resilient as compared to the US. That's what my belief is. Why only, Mayank Pandit, why only in IT sector are layoffs, not in finance banks? If it is because of automation AI, because finance engineers require people personal management. So, IT sector is very dependent upon the US market, if you see, right? So, if the US customers cut down, projects, etc., it will have direct impact on the IT companies, right? Whereas banks are like dealing with local customers, etc. So that is why if the domestic demands cuts, then these, like let's say if there are a lot of delinquencies in credit cards or loans, which is quite possible because there is a lot of underlying stress in the Indian economy as well. Then because I made another podcast, you can see, or as it is, car sales are extremely down if you see. So that is an indicator that the economy is also in stress. So that can basically spiral down and create a lot of problem for banks also going in forward in India too actually. Harsh Dubey, which country has the potential for USA market alternative for Indian IT companies? Yeah, it will be very very hard to replicate that actually. So far, actually, I think Indian IT industry was pretty much solely dependent upon US, if not more. US alone used to basically help out with 50 to 60% of the total, revenue that these companies were making, and Indian IT industry, if not more, is equivalent to I think 280 to 300 billion dollars actually. And out of this, I think easily US will sit at 160 or 180 billion dollars, I think. So if US slows and cuts down spending, it will be a very very big. It's almost like it is your biggest customer and it goes away, which already has like close to 50% of your market share, and it drops. Then basically your company goes haywire. So I don't think it can be replicated. Maybe if whole of EU was one country, if it came along, maybe that can fill some void. But as you know, EU is like not one country; it is a combination of so many of them. And as you know, at least in the tech and IT sector, nobody invests the money as US does. So even if you do projects from UK or France or Germany, their scope and level is not as big as it used to be there in the US. So I doubt it can be easily filled. It will take a lot of time, lot of effort, and still, if you can do even half of what USA does, will be a big deal. So, sir, that's all from my side. I hope you enjoy your time. Take care. Have a nice day, and bye. Talk to you soon. Please like, share, subscribe.